Hi, I'm Andy from Densify. Welcome to my whiteboard. Today I want to talk to you about the issues and challenges trying to match supply and demand in the public cloud. So let's start with demand. Just fair warning, Densify has picked the worst drawer that they could find for this video, so here I am. So let's have a look at a typical workload curve. And you've got different ones that'll, whether it be CPU or network I/O or disk IOPS, what have you, you've got multiple workloads that do multiple things. And so this could be CPU utilization, everyone's favorite metric. The idea is you've got to capture an appropriate amount of data. So if you don't capture a business cycle, you're only looking at a couple of weeks, that will be an issue because you don't have an appropriate business cycle. If you capture too much data from your history, then you can get into things like peaks and spikes, maybe capturing a batch process or software install. And if you size your workloads based on that particular workload metric, then you may be paying upwards of double what you should be paying. Okay, so let's move to supply. Use my other marker here. So supply, you've got millions of combinations in AWS, Google, GCP. You've got CPU optimized, memory optimized, I/O optimized, all these different flavors, database services. You've got workloads with different storage types, different I/O capabilities. And at last count, Amazon had upwards of 3.2 million combinations just for EC2. That's not counting all the other services that they deliver. And then you're dealing with Azure and GCP as well. So millions of combinations on this side and all different relative performance. What you need in the middle of this is a way to figure out exactly what's the appropriate balance between demand and supply. So an automation engine that can figure this out. Today when we're looking at demand, you've got experts, and let's draw those folks in here. So some of them are happy, some of them not so happy. And the idea is that you've got these brainiacs that have developed their own methods and very sophisticated spreadsheets and ways to interpret these charts and graphs and all this data to figure out what is a representative workload. And at the end, they typically throw their hands up in the air and say, well, let's look at peak or average utilization. So it is very, very difficult for these folks here to figure out what is that representative day. On the supply side, now you've got all these combinations, as I mentioned, millions of combinations or even billions. And the problem is it's not normalized. So if you're looking at optimizing your workloads between families or within families, the ability to actually figure that out automatically, and don't forget, there's new services being introduced every single day by the cloud providers. So not only do you have to take into account what is the relative performance of these systems and what's the relative I/O and limits of the different metrics, but the fact that not every service is available in every region, every availability zone. And so the issue of trying to do this optimal matching, this balancing of demand and supply, is that you're leaning on these folks here, and the problem is that they don't always stick around. So they develop all these sophisticated methods, and they just they're not going to be part of the organization forever. So have to pass that tribal knowledge along, and the next guy is probably going to do it differently. So what is really required here is an automation engine, a system, analytics that can interpret this demand and all these different combinations of supply and automatically and perfectly match those two things together, curated by experts that are going to stick around and be part of your team for the long run. That's an analytics service, and that is the Cloud Learning Optimization Engine from Densify. In my next video, let's go a little bit further beyond just the pure matching of supply and demand and talk about some of the limitations in the public cloud and in your company and corporate requirements that may prevent you from optimizing, and how an automation engine can help with those issues as well. Thanks for watching today, guys. We'll see you in the next one.